If there's ever a time in football when players are valued way above their pay grade, it's the summer transfer window. So in this video, I'm looking at the most overrated player from each Premier League club right now. Before the angry comments unfold, overrated doesn't mean a player is bad or useless. It just means that their current value is being projected far higher than what they actually deliver on the pitch. So sit back, relax, and let's get into it. Arsenal, Gyökeres. We haven't seen enough from Gyökeres to warrant this assumption of him being one of the best strikers in the world. And Arsenal fans are doing a great job of making him the most overrated number 9 in world football. Yes, his numbers in Portugal are impressive, but history tells us that a striker stat pad in the Premier League doesn't usually translate to dominance in the Premier League. Ask Bastos, Jonas or Darwin Núñez. Right now, he's being debated alongside Haaland and Osimhen far too early. He's not even first choice for Sweden. Gyökeres could be solid, but the world class label is clearly running ahead of the reality. Arsenal fans, desperate for a striker, are setting expectations sky high, but so far it's mostly hope and not proof. Aston Villa, Leon Bailey. Leon Bailey is flashes with no substance. He has the speed, the dribble, but little production. One standout year, then instantly goes missing with 1 goal and 2 assists last season. For a guy that is still viewed through the lenses of a Bayern Leverkusen wonderkid, you'd expect a player of his caliber to produce much more. Bournemouth, Philip Billing. Billing has the athleticism and occasional highlights, except if you actually watch Bournemouth, which is hard enough, you know that he often fades in matches, never scored double digits for goal involvements in a season, and of course receives a lot of glory right now for Napoli's championship last season, even though he couldn't get off the bench in most games. Sure, he will score the odd long-range strike, but you can't build a team around a talented midfielder that doesn't impact games as much as he should. Brentford, Mikel Damsgaard. Still riding the Euro 2020 hype. It's been 3 seasons since he joined Brentford, only scored twice and has failed to unlock the midfield the way he was expected to. The hype and advanced stats paint him as this creative pulse because he's a good passer. Damsgaard is just another case of fans confusing a neat passer with a game-changing playmaker, which so far he hasn't proven to be. Brighton, Danny Welbeck. To many Brighton fans, he's a veteran presence at 33. Last season, he was impressive, scoring double digits. But I'm not prepared to join the current hype train who think he'll perform as well as he did heading into next season. If Welbeck is as good as Brighton fans are proclaiming him to be right now, Brighton will be out trying to sell him to Chelsea, Liverpool, or any club that can get a return on the investment. Trust me, if Brighton are trying to sell you, that's usually an indication you're one of their better players, which 34-year-old Welbeck is not. Burnley, Zeki and Djuicey. Burnley don't exactly do hype, but if there's one player getting more praise and performance, it's Zeki and Djuicey. Arrived as a Swiss leading scorer and couldn't keep Burnley up in the Premier League. If you care less about Burnley, you might know that some fans think that he's too good for the Championship. Whilst well known at Benfica, he was more of a bench warmer. No one really knows if he's legit. He's still young at 24, but for now, he's still overrated by enough Burnley fans who might be expecting too much from him in a team that most people are expecting to underachieve. Chelsea, Christopher Nkunku. Another attacking player with a high profile that spends more time with physio than on the pitch. When you consider his 52 million transfer fee, 11 league starts in 2 years, he's talented for sure, but you're only as good as the fans if you're just watching from the stands. If you have to use what if or mention health to justify a player's value, 9 times out of 10 you're overrated a player that can't be trusted to be available when counted on. Crystal Palace, Daichi Kamada. Palace needed midfield depth with Decore out, so they signed Kamada on a free transfer last season, and his numbers fall short of his hype. 34 appearances, 15 starts, 0 goals, 0 assists. You'll still get fans throbbing about his style and work rate, but when Will Hughes is tripling your end product in both goals and assists, chances are your impact as a midfielder is being overinflated. I don't think he's a bad player, he's just not the week in week out impactful midfielder his fanbase like to presume. If Walton develops and Decore stays healthy, Kamada's stock as a Palace fan would likely drop. Everton, Dwight McNeil. Everyone rates Dwight McNeil for his effort and poor progression, except when it comes to production. He's meant to be Everton's star playmaker, but 10 goal involvements per season isn't cutting it. Neither is it helping the club's ambitions in rising further up the table and winning at least one Merseyside derby game in a season. Fulham, Anthony Robinson. Robinson gets routinely mentioned as a top fullback outside the big six. People that overrate him don't want to acknowledge that a lot of his weaknesses defensively have been unmasked since Paulinho left for Bayern, a CDM who stabilised Fulham in midfield. He's inconsistent defensively, and he's not the elite wing-back that people often label him. Personally, there's a plethora of fullbacks outside the top six I'd rather have who offer more than Anthony Robinson. Leeds United, Patrick Bamford. Bamford still riding the goodwill from his breakout season years ago. Since then, it's been injuries, inconsistent finishing and missed chances. A lot of Leeds fans hope for one last peak before his deal runs out next year, but I think that ship has sailed. He's overrated and you can bet on him to miss multiple games next season. Liverpool, Darwin Núñez. Darwin Núñez is exactly what Arsenal fans are praying Gyökeres doesn't become. A striker who looks world class in Portugal and an inconsistent single digit scorer in the Premier League. He's never had a positive expected goal season in the Premier League, misses almost one big chance per game. The raw materials are there, elite off-ball movement and pace, except his end product is limited. He's still only 26 and still has time to develop, especially in a team where Salah is a focal point. But it just gets you wondering how much longer before Núñez becomes this reliable striker most people rate him to be. So far, he's proven that thriving in Portugal doesn't guarantee Premier League stardom. Man City, Manuel Akanji. Don't be fooled by the Champions League medal, Premier Leagues and look like a dawn defender for Switzerland, because this 2025 current version of Akanji is error prone and clumsy, which has led to multiple detrimental losses last season, and he's less than the reliable centre-back that people portray. His tackles and interceptions have dipped. There's increasing pressure on him to be more stable going into next season. Man United, Bruno Fernandes. I think it's become more common knowledge, unless you're a casual or United fan. He had one elite season with Sporting, and United took the bait just as they've done with Mbeumo. He's a good midfielder with a high work rate who can shoot from anywhere past the halfway line, but he's always been a high risk, high reward, inefficient number 10. Some United fans still believe he's the best number 10 in the league or even the world, and that he's carrying the team even though the team have gradually worsened since he's joined. And there are too many, far too many high volume mistakes and not enough control for my liking to rate him as much as his fan base do. Newcastle, Alexander Isak. Isak's a unicorn skill-wise. Pace, 2 feet, one of the best finishers in the world. What's holding Isak back is the constant injuries. For a player priced at above 150 million, you'd expect more availability, which is why he's overrated. Unfortunately, you just can't count on Isak to be available on a weekly basis or for a big game, especially if he stays at Newcastle or joins a top team. The last thing you want is a super talented and skilled player riding the bench whilst trying to make a run in the league or the Champions League. So right now, he's definitely being valued too highly for his worth. Nottingham Forest, Gibbs White. Forest star player, especially now that Elanga's no longer with the club. A lot of people are overlooking him, drifting out of some crucial games last season, including their 2 losses to Newcastle where he disappeared and ultimately handed away Champions League qualification to them. Also, Aston Villa away. His involvement stats are fine, he just lacks superstar numbers, especially in the big games. Solid player, but it seems like his style of play and success of England under 21s is more appealing than his weekly performances in the league. Tottenham Hotspur, Heung-min Son. This is not the version of Son that will dominate teams with impressive stats. He's in decline and people are afraid to admit it. Last season was the first time he scored single digits in goals since his first season with Tottenham. He shouldn't be in discussion with Vinicius Jr. and Kvaratskhelia, who have all achieved far more than he has, and he's not the best player at Tottenham. Far too many people are overlooking his current flaws because he won the Europa League, but he was scoreless throughout the knockout stages and played just over 20 minutes in the final against United, finished 1 place above relegation in the league, and he's still yet to win a league title. Sometimes loyalty and familiarity clouds judgment. Sunderland, Habib Diarra. This would have been a lot easier if Joby Benham didn't transfer to Borussia Dortmund, so I had the challenging task of figuring out the most overrated player from a team that A, people don't care about, B, hasn't been in the league in almost 10 years, and C, consists of young players that aren't even rated. So thanks to Joby, I couldn't think of anyone else other than the recent signing of Habib Diarra. High fee, big upside, but he's 21 in a squad built on hope and championship level depth. No sight on Diarra, he's highly versatile and can be placed almost anywhere across midfield. It's just, what more can we expect from a young expensive midfielder within a Sunderland team returned to the Premier League after almost 10 years? West Ham United, Lucas Paqueta. Let's talk about Lucas Paqueta. 4 FA charges for spot fixing and yellow card betting, 2 counts of obstructing investigation, and for some reason still glorified and adored in the league. Since joining West Ham, he's collected more yellow cards than most players in the league, let alone his own team. It's crazy that people still put Paqueta's name next to De Bruyne, who by the way has 3 times as many assists than Paqueta has. 58 career goals, 38 assists across 333 games is not elite for an attacking midfielder. Last season didn't register a single Premier League assist. West Ham overpaid for a Samba playmaker who hasn't lived up to the hype that people presume on him. Wolves, Matt Doherty. 11 years with Wolves, hundreds of appearances and instrumental in Wolves' rise from the Championship. Spent 2 seasons with Tottenham where a lot of his weaknesses were exposed. Rode the bench at Atletico Madrid where he got injured. Fast forward to now and Wolves' attempt to reinvent Doherty as a central defender has gone about as well as a relegation dogfight. Shifted an aging fullback who no longer has the pace or defensive sharpness he once had to centre back. It's more of a desperate move to keep a club legend whose legs have gone, but reputation still lingers. Last season, Wolves were one of the worst teams defensively last season, yet Doherty continues to get praise for being adaptable and being a leader. If Doherty truly is this elite versatile defender, Spurs or Atletico would have bothered to keep him. Instead, Wolves are keeping him out of nostalgia rather than necessity, which is classic overrated.